Before we begin, remember that this video is for educational purposes only and isn't financial or real estate advice. Always consult licensed professionals. Most first-time buyers make at least one of these mistakes. Let's make sure you don't. Most people think house flipping is easy money because of reality TV, but one bad math mistake can wipe out your life savings. In this video, we're moving past the hype to look at the actual frameworks, red flags, and math you need to flip a house safely and profitably. Before you pick up a hammer, you have to pick up a calculator. The profit is actually made when you buy the house, not when you sell it. The 70% rule is a classic guideline suggesting you shouldn't pay more than 70% of the after-repair value minus repair costs. For example, if a house will be worth $200,000 fixed up and needs $30,000 in work, your max offer is $110,000. In hot markets, this might stretch to 75%, but exceeding that significantly eats your safety margin for unexpected issues. Always leave room for the unknown unknowns that appear once you tear down a wall. RV stands for After Repair Value, and it's the most commonplace beginners fail by being too optimistic. You need to look at sold comparables from the last 90 days that match your house in square footage and finishes within a half-mile radius. Don't look at active listings, as those are just wishes, not reality. If the neighborhood supports laminate counters, don't assume your quartz upgrade will magically raise the price by $20,000. Many flippers forget that every day they own the house, money is leaking out of their pocket. You have to pay property taxes, insurance, utilities, and high-interest loan payments while the work is being done. A 6-month project can easily cost $10,000 to $15,000 in just holding costs, depending on the loan size. Always factor in a 2-month delay into your budget to ensure these costs don't turn your profit into a loss. You pay to buy the house, and you pay to sell it, which often totals about 10% of the final sale price. Between agent commissions, title insurance, and transfer taxes, a $300,000 sale might only net you $270,000 before you even pay back your renovation costs. If you don't account for these transaction friction costs, your projected profit is a fantasy. Always calculate your net proceeds rather than the gross sale price. Some houses look like bargains but are actually financial traps. You need to know what to look for during your first walkthrough. Structural issues are the ultimate budget killers because they aren't pretty and don't add resale value. Look for horizontal cracks in basement walls or doors that won't close properly, as these suggest the house is shifting. A foundation repair can cost anywhere from $5,000 to $30,000, and buyers will be terrified of it later. If you see major settling, get a structural engineer's opinion before you buy, not a contractor's guess. If a previous owner added a bedroom or finished a basement without a permit, you're inheriting a legal liability. When you go to sell, the buyer's inspector or the city might flag it, forcing you to tear it down or pay thousands for retroactive permits. Always check the city's permit history online before purchasing. If the square footage on the tax record doesn't match the house, that's a massive red flag. Old systems like knob and tube wiring or galvanized pipes can make a house uninsurable for your future buyer. Open the electrical panel to see if it's a Federal Pacific or Zinsco brand, which are known fire hazards and may want to be replaced. Check for lead pipes or cast iron drains that are crumbling, as a full repipe can cost $10,000 or more. These are invisible costs that don't help the house look better but are required for a sale. A roof that's over 15 years old is a ticking time bomb for a flipper. If the shingles are curling or there's moss growth, plan to replace it immediately to protect your interior renovations. Don't forget to check the grading around the house. If the ground slopes toward the foundation, you'll have water issues. Fixing water intrusion early is much cheaper than remediating mold later in the project. Quick reminder, real estate markets and mortgage programs vary by location, so always verify with local professionals. You can't fix everything, so you have to spend money where it actually moves the needle on the appraisal and buyer emotion. Kitchens and bathrooms sell houses, period. However, you don't always need a full gut job. Sometimes painting cabinets and adding modern hardware can save you $10,000. Focus on clean, neutral aesthetics that appeal to the widest possible audience. Avoid overly trendy tiles or colors that might be out of style by the time you list the property. A buyer decides if they like a house within the first 30 seconds of pulling up to the curb. Simple fixes like a freshly painted front door, updated house numbers, and basic landscaping can yield a 200% return on investment. If the exterior looks neglected, buyers assume the interior systems are also neglected. Don't spend $50,000 inside and leave a dead lawn and peeling paint outside. Fresh paint and new flooring are the highest ROI activities in any flip. Use a single neutral color throughout the entire house to make it feel larger and more cohesive. Replace old stained carpet with luxury vinyl plank, LVP, because it's durable, waterproof, and looks like wood. This combination covers old smells and gives the home that new house scent that buyers love. One of the fastest ways to lose money is putting a $60,000 kitchen in a neighborhood where the average home price is $200,000. You'll never get that money back because the appraisal will be capped by the local comps. Match the quality of your finishes to the neighborhood standard. If everyone else has laminate, go for mid-range granite, not high-end exotic marble. Managing contractors is where most flips go off the rails. You need a system to keep them on time and on budget. Never hire a contractor based on a verbal agreement or a one-page invoice. You need a detailed scope of work that lists every single task, down to the brand of paint and the type of baseboards. This document prevents scope creeps where the contractor asks for more money halfway through for things you thought were included. If it isn't in writing, it doesn't exist in the eyes of the contract. A low bid from an unlicensed contractor is often the most expensive bid you'll ever receive. Always verify their general liability insurance and workers' comp to ensure you aren't liable for on-site injuries. Ask for 3 recent references and actually call them to ask if the contractor finished on time. If a contractor asks for 50% of the money up front before showing up, walk away immediately. While it's tempting to skip permits to save time, it's a massive risk for your exit strategy. For major electrical, plumbing, or structural work, always hire a licensed professional who pulls the required permits. This provides a paper trail that proves the work was done to code, which is a huge selling point for buyers. Never attempt to DIY gas lines or main electrical panels. The liability far outweighs the savings. Tie your payments to specific milestones, like completion of drywalls or installation of cabinets. This keeps the contractor motivated to finish the current phase before getting paid for the next one. If you pay too much up front, you lose your leverage and may find the contractor disappearing to other jobs. A 10% holdback at the very end ensures they come back to fix those final small touch-ups. The job isn't done until the check clears. How you present and price the home determines your final profit. Empty houses feel cold and emphasize every small imperfection. Professional staging helps buyers visualize how they would live in the space and can actually help a home sell 50% faster. You don't need to stage every room. Focus on the living room, kitchen, and primary bedroom. Good staging makes the photos pop online, which is where 95% of buyers find their next home. The most common mistake at the end of a flip is pricing the home too high just to see what happens. A house is freshest in its first 10 days on the market. If it sits longer, people assume something is wrong and start making lowball offers. Price it right at or slightly below market value to drive multiple offers. Remember, every extra month it sits on the market is another month of holding costs eating your profit. Flipping a house is a business of margins and risk management, not just interior design. The big idea is to buy based on hard math. Respect the unseen costs like holding and closing fees, and manage your contractors with a strict scope of work. If you do those things, you'll be ahead of 90% of the people entering this industry. If this guide helped you feel more confident about your first or next flip, like and subscribe for more practical real estate advice. Check out our other videos on Reledemy for deeper dives into renovation costs and market analysis. Good luck with your project. Always consult a licensed professional before making property decisions. Thanks for watching. Remember, this is educational content only. Consult a licensed real estate agent or mortgage broker before making property decisions. Subscribe for more.